Hello and welcome to today's Partner Academy Live webcast. You are listening to the Time to Thrive webcast series presents the Techie Approach, collaborative prospecting techniques that work. Welcome to the next in our monthly webcast series dedicated to helping you increase sales excellence and help your career thrive. Join us the second Wednesday of every month at 8 a.m. Pacific for a new session dedicated to improving your sales performance. On today's live event, you can participate on Twitter Live at hashtag #TimeToThrive16. And now I'd like to introduce our speaker. Today, her name is Kendra Lee, and she is a WPC special speaker, as well as the author of Selling Against the Goal. Now, without any further delay, it is my pleasure to hand it over. Kendra, you now have the floor.
Well, thank you, and welcome, everyone. It's so funny. I was just looking at my presentation going, wow, I didn't include anything that tells you who I am or why I'm here or why you want to listen. What kind of a mistake is that? So it is a pleasure to be here with you. We're going to talk about collaborative prospecting techniques. And as Debbie said, I am Kendra Lee. I am president of the KLA Group, and I am one of the top 25 sales influencers as named by Eyes on Sales, if you're familiar with them, and also one of the top 50 called Top Sales World Experts. And it is just an honor to be talking with you about collaborative techniques. Now, just 2 weeks ago, I released my second book called The Sales Magnet. And in it, it's all about prospecting and lead generation techniques that you can use to warm up your calls or warm up your prospecting before you ever pick up the phone. And what we're going to talk about today is one of the three attraction trifecta that I mentioned, and I'll show them to you in a moment, and that is collaboration. And, you know, I chose this as one of our topics. It was very hot when we were at WPC last year because a lot of salespeople like to work independently. But one of the great advantages that we have in sales within the IT industry is the amount of collaboration that we really can do. And so even though we like to be independent and we view that as a virtue in sales, the reality is that we don't want to do that if we're going to be sales superstars. We want to take advantage of all the different opportunities that we have to collaborate, especially when it comes to gaining access to our prospects. And if you think about prospecting and what are the big challenges, two of the primary challenges are finding your prospects and getting access to them, and the other one is figuring out who your prospect should be. If you're in marketing, it's who's on my list, where do I get a list, where do I get a quality list. If you're in sales, it's how do I find their email address, how do I find more people that I could be prospecting with, and it's also about the list. Well, collaboration helps you to be more effective in your prospecting. So what I say is that prospecting is no picnic. When you think of everything that we have to do, from the planning to the list building to the research, the messaging, the value propositions, the follow-up, everything that I've got on the slide here, we don't want to be doing this alone if we can help it. We want to be able to collaborate with others to gain access, to figure out who we should be talking to expand our list and getting past those challenges that we encounter in prospecting. And let's share the load and benefit from each other. So you don't want to be doing it alone if you can help it. So we're going to talk about collaboration strategies today, and I'm going to give you some different tips and techniques that you can use to make sure that when you are collaborating, that will be successful as well. And if you want, feel free to tweet or comment along as we're talking. The top one here, Facebook, that's our Facebook. Actually, these are out of order. Our Facebook fan page is actually KLA Group, so I would go and do that, KLA Group, and then our Twitter is Kendra Lee, KLA, or on LinkedIn, it is Kendra Lee. So our LinkedIn and our Facebook are switched there. So go ahead and feel free to tweet and comment along. There is collaboration all around you. Lots of opportunities. When we consider IT and all the partners that we work with, all the vendors, all the different providers, just in the providers themselves, we have all of these different, what I have termed here, alliance partners that you can use. And they're all there just waiting to talk with you. Okay. There are peer sales reps who have complementary solutions. They may be within IT or they may be outside of IT. But there are lots of different people that you can work with. It may be someone who's like a commercial real estate agent and you sell cabling and equipment relocation services and network services. And so that real estate agent could tell you who's buying the new buildings, who's building the buildings, who's buying the land, who's moving. And that could present new opportunities for you because that's when they're looking for new equipment, making changes, new business processes, because they're changing all of their buildings. So you might work with a real estate agent. Or it may be a network services rep that you work with and you sell SharePoint or you sell Microsoft CRM. So you have applications that they don't sell. Or it could be that you are working with other companies who sell managed services and you sell managed services, but you sell them in different regions. And so you're collaborating in that way. Okay. When you collaborate with peers whose solutions closely align with yours, like the ones I just mentioned, then what you're doing is you're moving beyond the leads groups. And many of you may say, well, hey, I'm in a leads group. And that's great. That's a place you can look. But when you move beyond it and you have complementary solutions, that's when you really see the benefit for both of you. Now, another way to collaborate that you may or may not already be using are your internal staff. And these are actually your secret collaboration partners. Think of all the people that your techs and your trainers talk to. If you have training that you offer, they can be looking for leads for you as well. So it doesn't just have to be you who's out there looking for leads. You can guide and coach them in what they're listening for and bringing back to you. And then finally, look at the huge social network that you are building on LinkedIn, Twitter, and even Facebook. There can be people that you collaborate with who are in your network. And these are people that you've never considered because you don't know them that well. I mean, social networking really has become open, where people used to be very careful about who they accepted as friends on LinkedIn or Facebook, now are much more open networkers so that they can expand their network. So some of the people that you have in your network, you may not know as well. Now, we go and mine our networks looking for prospects. Now go mine looking for people that you can collaborate with. One rep that we work with decided on a whim to send a connection invite to someone that he had heard about from vendors. This was just a peer sales rep. That rep not only accepted his invitation, but he actually called, left a voicemail so that he could strategize on how they might work together. So come to find out, that peer rep had connections with a large number of bigger companies, enterprise companies, that the first rep had even barely thought about approaching, because that rep didn't know how he would gain access. But when he went out and sent this LinkedIn connection to this peer, all of a sudden he opened up this whole new network, because the person he suggested connecting with was a good collaborator. So you can be that person collaborating with new people that you're finding, and also people that you already have within your social network. So collaboration is all around you, and you just need to engage to take advantage of it. So I have a quick poll for you. Tell me, which of these do you not collaborate with? And I think, Debbie, can they only choose one at a time?
Yes, I'm sorry, Kendra.
Okay, so choose the one that you are least likely to go collaborate with today, if there are multiples that you do not collaborate with. All right, and I'm going to give you just another second to answer, because I see some people are moving their answers around. So you're choosing the one that you would be least likely to, you're not thinking of collaborating with today, because you may have others. And let's see. Let's open up. And it looks like most of you are not collaborating within your social network. There are several of you that say not with your trainers, and that could be because you don't have trainers on staff, or you do but haven't thought about it. And then several of you are saying with your techs and your peer sales reps. But the big one is the social networks. So let's talk for a minute about your social networks. When you are prospecting together, you both are winning, because they're getting leads and you are getting leads. And that's what we want to do, is we want to leverage each other's power so that we're both generating leads instead of just working alone. And in your social network, I gave you a couple of ideas of how you can network with them, but let's look for others as we go through the presentation today so that you can really benefit from them. Now, I mentioned to you that I just released my new book, The Sales Magnet, just 2 weeks ago, so it is truly hot off the presses. And in it, I talk about prospecting techniques that you can use to get more customers without cold calling. And a big one is collaboration. This is the attraction trifecta, and it has 14 different ways that you can use to get more customers. And I have grouped them into this attraction trifecta. Now, if you aren't a horse racer, you may not be familiar with what a trifecta is. A trifecta is a race where you place bets on 3 different horses to finish in the first, second, and third place. And if you think about it, with prospecting, you are in a race to find enough opportunities to meet your sales goals. And that's why I called it the attraction trifecta, because we're going to place our bets on different ways of prospecting to fill our funnel. And these are 3 different strategies that we can use. In personal attraction strategies, you're taking a personal approach, making a prospect feel like they have actually reached out and connected with you one-on-one. Now, this can include any of the tactics that you see here on the slide. It could be email, could be letters, could be postcards, could be phone calling. But the objective is to make your contacts feel like that first connection with them is personal, that you're reaching out to them in a personal way. The second leg of the trifecta is collaborative. And with collaborative attraction strategies, what you're doing is you are, let me start that over. With collaboration, what I think of when I think collaboration in the attraction trifecta are those lead generation tactics that are hard to do on your own. So think about the online events like this, where there's a lot of moving parts that are involved, and we have to get people to them. Local events, same idea. PR, even alliance partnering. These are prospecting approaches that require more work and more resources than you can bring to bear. So you'll often avoid them as a sales rep because of all the work that's involved, and yet these can be some of the most productive attraction strategies for you because of the level of interaction that you can have and the time that you are spending with your prospects. So the solution to the fact that this requires so much work is to collaborate with vendors and colleagues and others in your office to execute them so that you can both reap the rewards of these higher quality leads that they generate. And then the third type of attraction strategy is digital. And this is where we are using our social networking, our blogging, our newsletters, and our articles. Our prospects have embraced the digital world. They are looking to the internet for input on issues that they're addressing, on the latest technology that they should be thinking about, and what their peers are saying. So digital attraction strategies leverage the web to reach prospects who are already out there looking for information and answers. So these are the three strategies in the attraction trifecta. And for you to uncover leads successfully, you're going to use a combination of these attraction strategies, the ones that work best for your organization, as well as your target market that you're prospecting into. And while I have labeled some of these as collaborative, the online events, the local events, the referrals, the alliance partners, the reality is that you can collaborate in any of these, in the personal, the collaborative, or the digital. Okay. And so let me give you some ideas of how you might collaborate in them, because we've already talked about why do we want to do it. Remember why we want to do it? Because we want to increase our number of leads. We want to reach more people and broaden our list, broaden our base, and not just be doing it all on our own. So let's talk about how you can collaborate with your personal attraction strategies. With email and letters, yes, letters are still a prospecting strategy that can work. It can be slower, but it's definitely personal, and we're all using email, so you can share lists. You could collaborate and write one email and then send it out to each other's lists. Or you could send an email on behalf of your collaboration partner, and then you can have your collaboration partner send an email on your behalf. You probably already do email introductions from when you want to refer somebody. It's the same idea, doing it to your broader base of prospects. With calling, we have one Tennessee rep in a VAR company that we work with who is doing drop-by cold calling on medical practices. And actually, drop-in cold calls are becoming much more popular. When I started in sales, that was my sales manager's favorite way to do cold calling. He didn't want us to pick up the phone. He said you had to be seen in person. And then that went away for a period of time, and people started using just the phone to do their cold calling. Well, with your prospects as busy as they are today, the cold calling over the phone is challenging because you have to break through all the different gatekeepers. And then you try to move to email, but still your prospects may get 100, literally, emails in a day. So you've got to be able to break through all that noise. Well, what we're finding is a lot of our clients are going back to the drop-in cold calling. And if you are selling into a territory where you have the ability to actually walk into their office without being stopped by security, this can be extremely successful. And so we have one sales rep that works in Tennessee for our company who is doing these drop-by cold calls, and her territory is medical practices. So she's doing drop-in cold calls on medical practices. Now, she mentioned to her vendor rep that she was doing these things. And he said, oh, I'll be happy to help. So what they did is they sent out a series of emails and letters to warm up the calls before, to warm up their welcome, basically. And then they planned their drop-in calls. And here's what's interesting. Not only did she have the vendor who was helping to send out these emails to the list he had, which was more than the list that she had. They actually had different lists. But when they went to do the drop-by cold calls, he didn't accompany her into the different medical practices. Instead, what they did is they split the streets in half and the buildings that they were going to in half, each of them calling on different practices so they could cover more ground. So that's the type of collaboration that you can do even with these personal collaboration strategies that we often think of as being the things that we have to do just on our own. Go to your vendor and get lists. Go to them and have them work with you. Your Microsoft partner rep may be very interested in doing some prospecting with you. And I've seen them do it over the phone. I've seen them listen in and do coaching techniques. And I've seen them accompany you. So those are ways that you can do it, and you can make it fun and exciting. You don't have to do it all on your own. With digital collaboration opportunities, as a sales rep, you might feel like you don't have time for this. And in fact, many of you said you weren't really using social networking as a way to collaborate today. Okay. And what I would share with you is as you're doing your prospecting, you don't have to do a lot of the digital collaboration. A lot of it goes a long way. A few of your digital activities in a year actually can carry you quite far. And what it does is it expands your exposure. So let's think about it. Let's say that you are going to go blog somewhere, and you might say to yourself, or to me, oh my gosh, Kendra, I would never go out and do a blog. I don't have time for that. Think of all the knowledge that you have about your clients, the issues that they are encountering. So you could absolutely write a blog post about it, or you can go out and blog in places that your target market is, commenting on other people's blog posts and what you have seen. So if I use, let's say you are targeting manufacturers and you find some blogs that you know your manufacturing clients follow, and when I say some, one or two, and you go and you read some of the things that are out on those blogs, and you can make comments then to those blog posts. And now you're expanding your visibility. Or you might submit a guest blog to those two different blogs and only do it a few times a year. Your marketing people may already be doing it, so you can leverage what your marketing people are doing by going and asking them to create posts for those couple of manufacturing blogs that you have found, or take content they've already created and ask them if they will go get it placed on those blogs. And what this does for you now is it expands your visibility. Now, I said go to your marketing people. That's an internal group that you could collaborate with. Same thing, if you've got outside people that you're collaborating with who are also focused in manufacturing, maybe they already have a blog and you now post something there. Or maybe they've written things, or they can go get information or content posted on other blogs. So these are all ways that you can collaborate and make it pretty easy. So write an article or a blog post that your partner can use as a guest post on their blog is another way. So lots of different ways that you can use the digital collaboration and not invest a whole lot of time. A couple other ideas that come to mind for you are to comment on each other's social sites. So if they're out there in Facebook or LinkedIn, comment on their comments so that you are seen. And share ebooks, share white papers, share each other's lead generation content. You may not be creating it if you're in sales, but you may have access to it because your company is creating it. Or use your collaboration partners on your site so that you don't have to create it. And we do that a lot. We encourage a lot of the VARs and the VAR sales reps that we work with to go find what your vendors have and reuse it and to expand your own expertise. So those are all ways that you can do digital collaboration. And now we talk about the true collaborative opportunities. These are those prospecting activities that really require a lot more work and you normally would not want to do on your own. And I shared with you that story about the Tennessee rep who did the prospecting with did the drop-by cold calling in the medical practices. Well, in her same organization, there was another sales rep who was doing events. And what they did is they collaborated with a security vendor to put on a local event, and then they offloaded this huge amount of work using that vendor to help craft the emails and send out the emails, and to bring in a speaker to talk about the security solution. And then they spoke for just a short period of time, the sales rep did, about what he was seeing happening in their market. So lots of different ways that you can collaborate and do events without having to feel like you have to take on the whole load yourself. Now for referrals, let's talk about those for a minute, because I have those as collaborative opportunities. Don't just think about external referral sources. Think internally. Teach your techies how they can ask for referrals as well. If you have trainers, if you have a training staff and you do training at your location, then give your trainers 3 questions that they could ask to uncover new opportunities while people are in class. One North Dakota VAR that we work with trained all of their techies to listen for and to identify project opportunities. And then they taught them how to ask for referrals if they heard of a project opportunity that was coming up. As a rep, what you can do is meet with the techies that you work with most frequently and give them some pointers of what to look for. Then reward them when their efforts pay off. Maybe you take them out to lunch. Maybe you write a real positive thank you and you copy their manager on it. Even in VAR companies, that goes a long way. So use your techies and your other internal staff, like your trainers, to listen for referrals and then pass them to you to follow up or to ask for referrals themselves. So that really is a secret sales force that you have within your organization. Okay. With alliance partners, list out all of those who you think can help, and then go and enlist their assistance. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a moment, because your alliance partners are such a big opportunity for you. So I just shared with you how you could collaborate using personal attraction strategies, digital attraction strategies, and collaborative attraction strategies. Now I have another question for you. How many people do you collaborate with today, the way that we're talking about, to do your prospecting? None, 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 6, or more than 7? And I'll give you a second so that you can answer that. And really, these are people who are truly helping you in your prospecting activities. Not just people that you could say, well, I could collaborate with, but ones that really are helping you today. And I see you guys are still voting and the numbers are moving around. So it looks like most of you collaborate with 2 to 3, and then we've got about 30% of you who are saying that it is 4 to 6. Okay, so most of you have chosen 2 to 3. What I want you to do is think beyond how many you are collaborating with today, those of you that are only doing 2 to 3, and pick a few more and collaborate with them. Those of you that are collaborating with 4 to 6, if you're on the 6 side, I would say that's great. Now let's enhance it and let's expand what you're doing with them. Those of you that are only collaborating with 4 today, look to see if you can find more. Here's the thing you want to take into consideration. The more people that you can collaborate with well, the more different people you have on your team out there prospecting and selling for you. Now, notice I said well. There is a tipping point at which you will find that they're going to bring in tons of leads for you. And we want to find that tipping point number of partners for you to collaborate with. I would say it's right around 6 to 7 different partners. If you get too far beyond that, you can't provide them the coaching and the attention that they need to keep them prospecting with you. Okay, so 6 to 7 should be your target, and then collaborate with them very well. And now, I'm going to talk about strategies for collaborating with them, and the first strategy that I have for you is in how you can integrate your prospecting activities in a collaborative way. So here's my first example for you. Before you start your calling, you can collaborate to build awareness in your target market. Okay. The example here shows that you use social media, your social commenting, your blogging, whatever you choose to do, to broaden your exposure into each other's social networks. So each other's blogs, each other's LinkedIn networks, each other's Twitter networks, each other's Facebook fan pages or connections. Whichever you are choosing, you can broaden your exposure with your social networking. That's on the left side. You can blog then to show expertise, posting on each other's blogs if you can, and sometimes you don't have that ability because there may be restrictions, but if possible, blogging on each other's networks, then blogging out in other blogs that serve your target markets. But you're each out there blogging, agreeing that you're going to share the new opportunities that come in. Okay, So this is going on, the broadening your exposure and the blogging. Then you start your more personal awareness building. And in that, we're going to send emails to warm up the calls, to generate awareness. Then we're going to call our list of people that we have been sending emails with to. And we're going to call our list 3 times, okay, because we're building awareness. We're going to try to reach them 3 times. Anybody that we reach, great, we've got new leads that we're sharing. Anybody that we haven't reached, now we're going to send emails with some content links. Our first emails are really prospecting emails. We're trying to set an appointment. The next set of emails are more nurturing emails, where we're going to recommend they read one of those blogs that we posted. Or if we can't post them and our partner can't post them, maybe it's a vendor-related blog. Okay, we can collaborate with our vendor. Nobody said it had to be only 2 people collaborating. We could bring in our vendor. Or we may have found something else that we would think that would be of interest to them, and we are sending it. So now we're doing a bit of nurturing, and then we call 3 times in follow-up, because now we've tried to reach them with our awareness-building emails. They've heard our voices when we've called to try and reach them. We've sent them some good content. We're going to call again. Chances are that you will see your highest return after you have sent 3 of your Generate Awareness emails, and then again after you have sent 2 or 3 content emails. That's what our statistics are showing. The majority of the people who will respond to you will be after those 3rd emails. Okay? And so when you call, now they know your name, they've seen some valuable information, and if you've been broadening your exposure, they may have seen you in the social networking, or you've expanded your list through your social networking. Okay? Now, so you and your partners can share in all of this, in sending the emails and calling the lists and doing the blogging and broadening your exposure, or you can divide it up based on what your strengths are and the information that you have. Now, when you go to do these calls, quick story for you, one of the reps that we work with finds it much more motivating if he makes calls with someone else. And so what they do is they go to one of their 2 offices, they sit in cubicles next to each other, and then they create this contest to see who can reach the most decision makers. And they make it really fun. And then the winner just takes the loser out to lunch or out at the end of the day, but they both get leads, so actually they are both winning. But what they find is by both of them being there, they're motivating each other. They're not letting each other off the hook. Okay? All right. And you might be wondering who goes on these appointments that they're setting during their calling. They both participate in person or over the phone, and then the one who set the appointment is the person who leads the phone call. Okay, that's if you're peer reps. If it's a vendor rep, then you may be the one who is leading the call, and you and the vendor can decide on that one. Okay, so this is a way that you can build awareness, collaborating together, and then sharing in the prospecting activities. And notice that I did say if you've got strengths or information that you can share on your own, and the other person doesn't have, then divide it up as to who's going to do what. Maybe somebody's going to do most of the social networking because they have a big network and you don't. Or somebody is going to do the blogging because they are good at blogging and you aren't. Another thing that you can do is to connect your efforts in your event prospecting. And here, same social commenting, same blogging, but now we're going to divide up the event efforts. And this is a big one where it makes the most sense to divide up who's going to write the email. We'll both send it out to invite people. How are we going to divide up the event itself and the speaking, and how are we going to follow up? But this is an example that I wanted to share for you, and it will be in the PDF that you get so that you can see it. So let's talk for a minute about some tips for effective prospecting collaboration. You are the general manager of your territory. And if you think of your territory as your business where you are the owner, then you know that you aren't going to do it all alone. So if you're thinking business, nobody runs their business all on their own. Okay, they have other people who are supporting them. You're going to have staff and other people who are helping you to reach your revenue objectives. And the same is true when you are collaborating with others. For effective prospecting collaboration, you don't just want to work together. You want to lead and set the revenue objectives. One of the most effective strategies when you are working with your collaboration partners is to give them a quota. Okay. Figure out how much they're going to contribute to your pipeline. How many leads are they going to help you get? How out of the whole total number that you need. Okay. And then tell them the quota. So here's how this works. Let me share. This is an example. So we have 3 different partners that we're working with. Carol, Tom, who's a tech, so he's internal, and we have Hank. Let's say Carol is really good with healthcare. You know, she's got an area of expertise in healthcare. Tom is great with our customer accounts, and Hank is very good with law firms. Okay, and I actually aligned them here by target market so that Carol and Hank aren't overlapping each other, and they don't feel like I'm working with people who potentially could be competing with them. And one of them might be a real estate agent, like I gave as an example before, or they both could be peers who have complementary solutions to yours. SharePoint, maybe one of them offers SharePoint, you do network services, vice versa. Okay. So what you do is you sit down and you figure out, let's use Carol as our example. For Carol, how many leads would I really like to see her bring me? Okay, what's the ideal number? And let's say I think in this year, for the rest of the year, I would like to see her bring me 30 leads. I'd like us to, and we're maybe going to find them together, but I think they could come from my work with Carol, 30 leads. So I'm going to have a conversation with Carol about that and say, hey, Carol, you know, I'm thinking we should be able to do 30 leads together this year, you know, for the rest of the year. What do you think? And Carol goes, oh, yeah, I think 30. We definitely should. So now we have agreed that it's 30 leads. Well, let's say that Carol and I last year really only did 15 leads together. So 30 is doubling it. And while I'd like to double it, I don't want to be too over-optimistic as I'm planning my lead generation activities, my prospecting. And so I'm going to say, realistically, it's probably closer to 20. Even though I'd like to do 30, probably more realistic that it's 20. And let's say that the average sale that I could get from leads found with Carol is $15,000. Well, if Carol and I do our realistic number of leads at $15,000 per average sale, her contribution to my pipeline, if we get that, just those 20, is now $300,000 in new leads that we have found together. You can go through this exact same activity with Tom, your tech, and with Hank, and all of a sudden what you discover is with just these 3 partners, your total contribution to your pipeline is $412,000. Now, this is not real aggressive. I made the numbers of the average sales smaller. You may have higher average sales. You may expect higher numbers of leads from them, and that would give you a higher contribution to your pipeline. Depending on what your closing ratio is, then you could find that a good portion of the contribution to your pipeline actually would come from your partner collaboration. So quotaing your collaboration partners helps you to quickly see where you should spend your time and how many new opportunities you can plan on with the help of your collaboration partners. It also shows you then how much prospecting you need to do on your own. You may need to do a lot more because you need more than 412,000, or you could get everything from your collaboration partners. But what this does is it puts you at ease to see where your leads are going to come from. So my last poll for you is, what would concern you most about quotaing your collaboration partners? Take a moment and tell me. What do you think would concern you the most? I know you're reading through them. Okay. I'm letting you, this is interesting. We're moving around, so is it figuring out the right quota, how to discuss it with a partner, getting the partner's agreement, that a partner will agree but do nothing, or nothing? I like the concept. It looks like the majority of you are saying getting the partner's agreement and then figuring out the right quota. Figuring out the right quota, look at how much you have done in the past together, if you've gotten leads from them. And if it's a new collaboration partner, just have a discussion and say, hey, let's set a target. Don't tell them you're setting a quota. Let's set a target. How many new leads do we want to try and find together? And have that type of a conversation and jointly agree on a number and work toward prospecting to achieve that number. For getting the partner's agreement, it's similar in that you have that discussion where you say, how many leads do we think we can do together? I'm thinking we could do 30. Do you think that's reasonable? And then let them say, yeah, I think it is, or I don't think it is. To hold them accountable, then you just want to be sure that you're touching base and checking in to make sure that you are both working toward that number. And I just simplified that a lot. In my book, Selling Against the Goal, it goes into great detail, but I wanted to share that with you because I think this is one of the best concepts for being effective with your collaboration partners and seeing true prospecting results. The other two tips I would give you for collaboration are to quota your collaborative partners. We talked about that. Get their agreement on it, which I just shared with you, and then follow through on your commitments to them. Okay, make sure that they know that you're there to do your side of the prospecting. Now, I'm going to open it up for questions. We have just about 5 minutes left. So if you have any questions, go ahead and submit them now. And while you're doing it, I wanted to let you know that I have 2 additional free resources for you. I mentioned that my book, The Sales Magnet, was just released 2 weeks ago. There are 2 free chapters of it out at thesalesmagnet.com. Go get those as some ideas of what you can do for your prospecting. And then we also have a free Power Prospecting Sales Kit, which is in the resources section of our website, and it has lots of ideas for prospecting. It gives you some very specific things, and there are some tools in it. So that is free, and I would suggest you get that. At thesalesmagnet.com, we also have a toolkit out there that is free. So I would encourage you to go to both places and get these resources, and then share them with your partners as you're doing your planning in your territories for collaborating together. So let's see what questions we have. And it looks like our first question is, what if I don't have anyone that I can think of to collaborate with? Okay, that's a good question, because I did encourage you to expand your collaboration up to 6 to 7 partners, because I told you that is the tipping point. If you can't think of anyone to collaborate with. What I want you to do is to step back and consider who are the people who are selling to the same people that you are. And obviously, we're not going to include our competitors, but think of who are the people that are selling to the same people, and then who are the vendors that you are working with who care about your success. Okay. So those are the two places to look. Look for others who are selling in your same target market and collaborate with them. Go have coffee, have a conversation, and brainstorm how you might work together. How could you do a joint event? And I can give you a great example of a new collaboration that we're doing. In March, we're going to run a free Coffee with Kendra event, and I have a guest presenter who is joining me who is an expert in CRM systems, and in his case, specifically one type of CRM. And he's going to be coming in, and we're going to be talking about how you can use your CRM to be more effective in your sales process. I'm going to talk about the sales process side. He's going to talk about the CRM side and how you can set up your CRM to help you be more efficient while you are being effective. So we sat down and we talked about how could we collaborate. And that's what we came up with. So just sitting down and having that conversation can help you to identify the best way to collaborate. Okay, so that's a suggestion for you. And let's see, do we have any other questions?
Kendra, we do have one other question in the queue. Do you want me to read it to you?
That would be great, Debbie. Thank you.
Sure. The question is from Rob, and he asks, what tactics/ideas do you have to get the prospects to open the email in the first place?
Oh, great question, Rob. Here's what you do. There are a bunch of different techniques that we have. And actually, we have an email-powered prospecting sales kit and a number of different articles on our website, but I'm going to give you a couple of tips because this is a topic I speak on all the time. The subject line, you have heard, is very important. So your subject line has to feel personal to them. It has to feel like something they must open. It can't look like it's just a generic one that could have been sent by anybody. Okay, so that's your first one. The second is it has to look very easy to read. So it has to be brief. And I would suggest that you not lump everything into one or two paragraphs. Have 3 paragraphs broken out so that it looks easy to read, not just brief, but easy. Then the third thing is it's got to be about them and not about you. If your email just talks about here's how we can help you, it leaves it up to them to figure out why would I want to work with you. They have to already know. So you're better to focus on their issue, not your services. So focus on the issue that they would have that would lead them to need your services. Keep it brief, because what you really want to do is convert that to a conversation with them and not try and do it all through email. So those are 3 quick tips for subject line suggestions. There's actually an article in our resources section on our website at klagroup.com where I go into detail about subject lines. And there are other articles that talk about the length and give other tips for your emails as well. But those are 3 quickies for you.
All right. Well, thanks, Kendra. That was the last question in the queue. So do you have any final words for our audience before we wrap here?
Yes, I would suggest that you definitely want to collaborate. Prospecting is too much work to be doing it all on your own. And if your manager is holding you accountable to a certain number of calls or a certain number of new clients each month, the only way you can do that is to increase your prospecting. But there are only so many hours in the day, and if you collaborate and you divide that effort, you don't have to do all the prospecting on your own. Use different people. And in technology, we've got so many different people we can work with. Go take advantage of those. So thank you, everybody, for coming. If you have other questions, here is my contact information. Feel free to follow me on Facebook, connect with us on LinkedIn, or on Twitter as well. I would look forward to that.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Kendra. So, ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude today's event. Continue the discussion. So join us on our Sales Specialist group on LinkedIn right after the webcast, where Kendra will continue to answer your questions. And again, we've got a link here to the LinkedIn group. And then finally, what you should see coming up on the screen here, this is a link to a short survey. We appreciate you taking a moment to fill it out prior to logging out. You're going to need to enter your email address to access the survey. Once you're in there, our voting scale is on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the worst and 5 being the best. So if you've got some great information from Kendra, or if you've got some recommendations for future events, we'd love to hear from you. When you're done, be sure to click on the Submit button at the bottom to ensure that your feedback has been received. And with that, that does conclude today's Partner Academy Live webcast. All materials from today's presentation will be available on the Academy website within 24 hours. And partners, you are going to be able to access the live meeting replay in the Partner Learning Center within 24 hours. Again, I'd like to extend a big thank you to our presenter, Kendra, and thank you, audience, for logging in and joining us today. You may now disconnect from the audio portion of this call. And hold on one moment, Kendra.
Thank you.
Yeah.